fun day and a productive day if you're a Bills fan. Buffalo getting a 27-24 win over the Colts. One of 3 games today. Of course, the other 2 games, one of them is in progress. Right now it's the Bucs up 18-7 on Washington. Rams 30-20 winners over the Seahawks. And John, just good to see playoff football back. But again, just a momentous occasion today for Buffalo, and it's kind of carried over to the other 2 games.
Yeah, certainly. There was an interesting factor. But let me take a pulse of the room. Buffalo Bills fans, how are the Hearts doing tonight? Hopefully you're doing well. Also an exciting night. But yeah, it's been a great day of football. There hasn't been, at this point that we speak, it's still second half to go in the last game, really a blowout game. Seahawks were never really, they got it close, I believe at 13-10 right before the half. But interesting game. John Wolford starting over Jared Goff, who had the screws in his thumb. So, you go with the guy that's a little bit healthier, right? Well, that didn't last too long as he took a hit early on in that game from Jamal Adams on a designed run play. He had to leave and never return. Seemed like a neck or concussion issue. So Jared Goff comes into the game. They ride Cam Akers to 131 yards on the ground. And then that defense, number 1 defense overall in the league. Aaron Donald with a couple of sacks. You had a couple of timely turnovers. It seemed like every time the Seattle Seahawks touched the ball was a turnover today, and DK Metcalf showed some frustration on the sideline. And then tonight so far, despite Taylor Heineke starting the game instead of Alex Smith, Washington at least in the game.
Find it interesting through the first couple of games, John, about the tale of how the teams were able to win the way they did, right? Buffalo early on used their passing game. Josh Allen at 264 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air today. He was solid. You had Stephon Diggs, 7 catches, $128 and a score. Buffalo used their passing offense to beat the Colts secondary and win. It was the opposite in the Rams game today. 28 carries for a rookie running back in his playoff debut is substantial any time that happens. But when you're able to use a guy like Cam Akers to carry the day, especially with Wolford out of the game, not sure how healthy Goff is, clearly not 100%, to win a game like that and score 30 points against a defense, albeit not the strongest in Seattle, not the Legion of Boom that we saw in 2014, but a defense that had been ranked 7 overall in the NFL in the last 6 games. So a tale of 2 different sides in the first 2 games.
Well, you want to put a reason behind that. You get Andrew Whitworth, one of the all-time great tackles in this league, and I would say, if I had a vote, I do not, probably a Hall of Famer down the road. He comes back for the first time since suffering an ACL tear. He gets back in there left tackle, and you knew that with the addition of Carlos Dunlap, they're coming guys up the edge, but they're getting up the field when they're rushing. So far in that game, they neutralized it. A couple of draw plays. You saw Cam Akers in there with Jared Goff, and they didn't ask Goff to do too much. I think that's when they're at their best. It's kind of like the Jimmy Garoppolo effect we saw out of San Francisco last year. When you, in a sense, manage the game, pick your spots with your quarterback, and establish that run game, you're going to find success. And I think they neutralized the pass rush. Jamal Adams can run over the field, but when a guy's running up, he's got to play in a different sense. So certainly a big win for the Rams. They'll be moving on. And we'll have to wait and see who they play. As of right now, it would probably be the Green Bay Packers. But again, that depends on, do you get a Bears upset? And if Tampa Bay were to win tonight, then Tampa Bay would go on to play the winner of, I'm drawing a blank here.
Well, if Tampa Bay were to go on to win, they are the 5 seeds. So
well, they play the Saints if the Bears.
So they would be the Saints, right? With Seattle losing today, so they would be
NFC South.
Rams and Packers, NFC South between the Saints and Bucks. And it's interesting. The old adage is defense wins championships. We saw that in 2015 when the Denver Broncos carried a aging Peyton Manning to the Super Bowl win over Carolina, and that's, if the Rams are able to get there, it's going to be the same story in that regard as well. Defense isn't the name of the game, though, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their offense has been firing at all cylinders, especially late this season. And it's in that first half, an 18-7 lead for Tampa Bay. Not necessarily a dominating performance like you would have expected the Buccaneers to have, but it's interesting to see the resurgence, I should say, Tom Brady, not just as a 43-year-old, but also as somebody who's able to now use his weapons, right? Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, who is limited. I'm not even sure if he's in the game tonight. He was questionable coming in. But he hasn't been a factor. But I want to mention, John, it's been the resurgence of Antonio Brown.
How do you feel right now if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
Well, and again, interestingly enough, to think about how Brown has been able to come back, again, early in the season when he was with Tampa Bay, didn't really have the kind of game you would expect him to. He was getting his legs back under him. And now, a touchdown catch tonight. He had a touchdown catch in the last 2 games. This guy is becoming a star wide receiver before our very eyes again, and it's happening in the playoffs. 400
yards, I believe, in 3 games prior to tonight's contest. He already has 2 catches for 49 and a score. Mike Evans did play in tonight's game. He has a catch for 15 yards. I don't think they're going to use him too much tonight. More in that old adage, I guess, the decoy. But, you're not putting a guy on the field too much for a decoy, especially at his elite talents.
Sure.
But it's amazing. Tom Brady, 12 of 23, 209 in the first half, sacked twice. Not much of the run game, but it's been an interesting day of football and entertaining. You didn't get these games that, by the second quarter it was over. Everybody had been in it. And that's the fun part of this.
Great thing about tonight is that tomorrow presents the same thing, right? There's 3 games tomorrow. We expect 2 of them to be nail-biters. At least I do. You have the Titans and Ravens coming up early. That's a 1 o'clock matchup. That's going to be a rematch of the game they played a few weeks back when the Titans won that game in overtime with a 23-yard touchdown scamper by Derrick Henry, who's also in the consideration with Josh Allen and I assume Aaron Rodgers potentially for the MVP race. And then you look at the Steelers-Browns at 8:15. Bears and Saints are nestled in there at 4:40 on WSCE. And the Steelers-Browns tomorrow night at 8:15 on WICU. And it just makes you wonder, JD, what's the key in a game like this, especially for a team like Cleveland? You don't have your head coach on the sideline. You're going to be missing a couple of key players. You do get 2 of them back that you didn't expect to have. That was announced today. But still a lot of up in the air, if you will, for the Browns as they head into Heinz Field tomorrow.
I think the biggest area they're hurting is obviously the secondary. You lost Grant Telpett early in the season. Again, they've made adjustments. So Ronnie Harrison was a big addition, and that was the good news today. It was a false positive test, so he's going to be coming back. So that's a big get. But again, Denzel Ward. I mean, all those big threats at receiver in terms of size and what they can do for the Steelers. Without Denzel Ward, it's going to be an interesting game. I can't get a pulse on that one.
Makes you wonder. To me, the big matchup becomes who guards Chase Claypool, and if that's the case, who is able to cover him if that's an option. Again, we've talked about the Browns secondary, how they've been banged up. Can they hold against that Steelers passing attack? And on the flip side, for the Steelers defense, it's can you stop Cleveland's rushing attack with Hunt and Chubb in the backfield? Yeah,
that's going to be the big thing, and Joel Bitonio's out. I haven't heard an update. The big question was Jack Conklin missed Friday with an illness. I haven't heard an update on that. I guess I didn't hear a new positive test today from, again, we've been in and out of and haven't had a chance to check in on as much. But if he can go positive, if he's not, man, that's going to be tough for them to run the football without 2/5 of their offensive line. Plus, you lost Chris Hubbard earlier in the season, so really you're down 3/5 of your starting offensive line that you'd like to have out there.
Not to mention, by the way, Pittsburgh reinserts Defensive Player of the Year candidate T.J. Watt, who rested last week against the Browns, and he will be back and he will be ready with a vengeance to go against Baker Mayfield in that Browns offense. Well, we have Erie News now coming up across our timeline here, 11 p.m. on WSCE, straight after the Washington-Tampa game on WICU. It'll be a fun night of football continuing, a fun day of football tomorrow, and we're right back at it here. John's going to be in Pittsburgh tomorrow, but all of us here at some point in some way.
Yeah, we're going to all continue to contribute. We had John V. Schultz today. We're going to take a look at Chipper's Seafood and
Southern Fusion.
Southern Fusion, yes, excuse me. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Yes,
new downtown. So we'll be out there telling you about the menu and some of the cool things you can pick up if you're looking for somewhere local and new to dine. We'll have that tomorrow for you. Plus, again, big day of games for 2 more fan bases.
And I do believe another signed jersey coming up tomorrow. Is that correct?
That's correct. James Conner, we had a jersey giveaway tonight. John Schaffner, if you or your family members listening out tonight, we have the jersey here for you to pick up at the station, and we'll give another one away tomorrow, plus some more of those Otis 12 gift cards are on the horizon. So plenty to win, plenty to talk about, and we're looking forward to it coming up tomorrow.
All right, if you're a Bills fan, it's going to probably be a late night for you, but make sure you get some sleep because we're coming back early tomorrow, and we're coming back with a 3-game slate, 2 of which are on our networks. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of the Washington-Tampa game. We'll see you tonight on Erie News Now at 11. We'll see you tomorrow for the Sports Blitz at 11:30. Until that time, stay safe, stay home.